Hey guys, Dave back with another ad-free episode of FFBE War of the Visions. In today's episode, I'm going to be showcasing my double gunner arena team. Now up on the screen you can see my basic formation. I also switched from Engelbert to Orlando because Engelbert was not performing how I wanted him to with the AI. So I tried Orlando since he's a little bit faster, and I think overall maybe he worked out a little bit better in some situations, but Engelbert just not dying and being able to use his taunting blade sometimes was helpful as well. But before I explain all the gear and why I did it, you're probably wondering, why the heck would he have slash resistance on his gunner units? They shouldn't even be within range. Well, yeah, you've underestimated the AI in this game. So let's go in and find out why I equipped them like that. Alright, so here's the first battle. I'm just going to show a quick preview like that, and then we're going to load in. Now, you saw I had a lot of slash resistance, and as we start to go through these battles, you'll see why I had that. So now they're buffing the first turn. Take notice of that. That's not necessarily bad. Okay, so my Frederica one-shots their Lucia, which is awesome, and then Ramza didn't even make it across the ravine. And now Monty's going to try to make it across the ravine, probably going to get smashed in the face. Yeah, so that was an easy win right there. Now this team looked like a low-level Ramza. If he's high-level on this map, he's actually a force to be reckoned with. And the reason is because he has a high jump, so you can just jump right down from the cliff and literally come right over at you. So they're buffing now in the beginning. I don't see any problems with this one since it's an all melee team. I doubt they're even going to make it across here. But one problem you can see there with Orlando, instead of him just coming right across, he's having like a buff party. Now, I don't think I have the one recorded, but the other team, they were having like a super buff party for maybe 3 or 4 enemy turns for each character. The entire team, like Ayaka, Engelbert, they were just sitting over on the other cliff, buffing each other constantly and not even coming at me. So they definitely need to work on the AI for this map. I know it's made for gunners because you have the range advantage, but they made it too advantageous for gunners because of the poor AI when it comes to buffing. So you can see there, my Frederica dodged. That's exactly why. Wow, you got a nice Ricer car out there. My Frederica, I built her to try to evade certain attacks and whatnot, and she does every now and then. Maybe every 4th or 5th attack, she'll evade, and that really saves her because, as you can see right there, she's a pretty squishy character. Almost like a glass cannon for a gunner, but she still doesn't have as much as the output as Lucia, so she's more of a niche one. As you can see, Lucia has a pretty decent dodge as well. So this one right here, it could go both ways. I'm pretty sure it was a win, but if she takes out my Lucia, it could get it. But yeah, I pulled it off in the end because she kept going for Lucia and ignored Orlando. Now this team, it has the Dark Gunner. I don't know why, but the Dark Gunner seems to have much better AI than the 2 UR units. Like he seems to go right for the units that count in most of the matches that I play him against. Maybe that's just the luck that I had. I'm not sure. But okay, so I took out Lucia, and then he's like having a one-on-one against my Frederica. So my Frederica, instead of maybe trying to just do an auto attack, just buffs again there too. So one thing to note about Frederica is in a lot of situations she will buff, right, instead of attacking. So she could have buffed and then moved backwards, like as a gunner. Hey, I'm a ranged unit, let me try to get some range. No, let me buff and get right up in their face. So that's a big flaw in the current AI, where the gunner units, especially Frederica, or especially when you give them mobility, they just want to move up in the enemy's face, and gunner units should never be doing that. They should be trying to distance themselves. So even though this team was lower in level and probably gear, the AI on my team was absolutely horrendous, and I lost. So that Dark Gunner is actually pretty good the way his AI works. Alright, here's the next round. Okay, so Yerma and Monty, I don't see them even making it across the gap, but we'll see. Some of these I recorded so long ago, I forget, and I didn't really watch through all of them 100% before recording. So it's kind of almost like live commentary, but not really. So that's what my Yerma does every turn. First turn is does that one buff that gives her the defense as well. So okay, so they both focused on Monty. He possibly had the hate card on him, and looks like he's just barely surviving. So Yerma actually did make it over, but my Engelbert intercepted her, which is exactly why I put him there. And an easy win there. Alright, so Mediana team. Now, Mediana on this map is one of those units that never really seems to make it across. I guess she just walks back and forth to the two other units to get like buffs like that, and then just like waves from across the canyon and whatnot. I've never played a single one where she's made it across and been able to attack. Always been killed or killed when the other unit goes over, or killed right away. So they again really need to work on the AI for maps like this. Because look, now it's 2 turns have passed and Orlando is still on the other ledge. You know, did he just take another turn over there? That's ridiculous. So, you know, how are melee units gonna, you know, take out enemy gunner units if they're moving over there? And how are gunner units going to stay ranged if they buff and then move up to the enemy units? So, I mean, the buffing parties, the melee units just chilling on their own side, and then the gunners trying to run at the other team are 3 really, really big AI flaws on this map. Now, this team right here, this is the first one that has Victora. I have her too at this point in the game, but I'm building her skills up and whatnot. I actually still am. Her bravery is still at 70. I need to farm her with Orlando and raise it up there. But she does hit very hard. And I actually lost to a team. My gunners were both up on the cliff, and they were buffing each other, standing exactly like that, right next to each other, buffing. And she just came right up, boom, dragon dive, both dead. First turn. With their great movement. So she just dips down off the cliff on the other side with the jump, moves a couple squares up, and yeah, it's basically game over for the gunners. So if you have Victory, you probably don't want her in the tanking slot. You want her to be in the slot where she's right here where Lucia is, maybe Frederica, but Lucia is probably more beneficial because most people are going to put their gunner in slot 1 or 2. And then she'll probably be able to intercept both of them, especially if they're having a buff party on the other side. So, I don't know. The other team there, Gilgamesh, I don't know if that was the best choice. I mean, haste there is good on the Frederica. It could prove to be difficult, actually. Okay, so Frederica went for me. Okay, my Lucia goes for... Wow. So, you can see right there, the extra resistances and gear that I put on them actually is working out to my advantage there. And their Frederica might not have had a good Rasalgathier weapon on her as well. All right, now here's a Salia team, Saria, whatever you want to call her. I like the Japanese name Saria more than Salia or Salire, so I'm just going to go with that. Okay, so my Lucia buffed missile attack on a tank. That's great. That's going to help us out a lot. So Frederica one-shot Saria there, and now Lucia with the new armor penetration mechanic is sort of anti-tank there. I don't know how strong their Engelbert is. I know that mine is ridiculously strong, so there's no way they're going to be doing that much to mine. But regardless, she can do quite a bit on a tank. So where Frederica might only do, let's say, 200 to 500 damage, Lucia might do, like 2,000 to 3,000 damage due to her armor buffing and whatnot. Okay, so this is a new set of another day of arena battles. This is the first one right here. I know I'm just talking right through all of them, but you guys can kind of just watch what's going on as I commentate on them. So, sometimes like when they have double gunners on the other side, my units will go for their tank and whatnot, and my units get chewed out alive, and then it can go both ways. So what I've found since that tank update, the the hate nerf only seems to work against the player, whereas the other team AI, it doesn't. They seem to continue to have that hate. I might be wrong, but it definitely seems that way. All right, so what do we have here? We have a Lucia. I didn't get a chance to see it. Okay. So Orlando, that was probably the wrong position to put Orlando in. Maybe they were suspecting that, Frederica would attack there and take her out. But if that was the case, then maybe Engelbert would have been better in that slot, because now their highest attacker is dead. So another reason that I put Frederica in that first slot there, she can, in many cases, one-shot Lucia, and she has a greater range. I have the +2 range on my Frederica, so she doesn't have to buff her range to hit across the gap. So that's in hopes of her using sharpshoot or possibly even like supercharge to kill Lucia on the first turn. But as you see here, both of my gunners, like, what the heck are they doing? Like, they're jumping down off the cliff. Now, and I know the enemy team was almost dead and whatnot, and it was only a ranged unit left, but they could have easily still been in range up on the cliff in a safe position. And I don't know if I recorded all the ones where I lost because they went down in melee range or not, but whew, yeah, it's just ridiculous. So I really hope that they fix this AI so we don't have to deal with that anymore. Because the poor AI, the way certain units work, it really devalues the unit as a whole. For example, Ziza it is a really good unit for the tower with charm, for raids with steal time and whatnot, and decent in free battles when you can control her. But like her and sometimes Yerma and whatnot, without dodge and tankiness, they just run straight in because they're very fast, and they get one shot because they buff and can't attack, and then the other team attacks them, and then they're dead. So the way that the AI works, it devalues those units, and I really hope that they fix that. All right, so this one right here, this team could take me out. So it's almost like a mirror team. And in this, the tank really isn't as important. It's what those gunner units are going to do. So, as I suspected, they did put their Lucia in that slot, but she's a little faster than my Frederic was charging. So I almost got her. Maybe they had a little bit of missile resistance on theirs, but my Lucia finished the job. So now they're notice that their tank, he went over to buff instead of actually coming at me. Now, since it's Monty, he might be able to jump off the cliff, but maybe not. But he's dead anyway, because he went the wrong way. So now if he came the other way, that my gunners might have focused on something else, and he might have made it across the gap and been able to do like Killer Blade and one-shot one of my gunners. But, this is what I'm talking about with the unfortunate AI. Now, this was the last one I'm going to showcase. This was another loss right here. But you'll be able to see why. So right there, I got hit again, and Frederica moved up, but she did Supercharge. Unfortunately, I unlocked Supercharge on my Frederica, and I regret doing that, and I can't turn it off yet. So he killed Ramza there, but my Frederica's down, and Lucia's down, and they still have both gunners. So it's pretty much good game right here, just because they were stupid, and just because I unfortunately accidentally unlocked Supercharge on my Frederica, and she could have attacked first, possibly done sharpshoot, and then Lucia might have finished the job, because it saw that she had low HP, but since the HP wasn't taken off yet, she might have just buffed or something instead. So I'm really looking forward to that patch where they're going to fix that. So yeah, even though my Engelbert, it took them a long time to take him out, but I still lost the match. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the gear and then we'll close out the video. Frederica, I have a +5 critical Ras Al Gathi on her. I have the Sage Hat, and then I have Katone's Trust there, mostly for the agility right now. But once we can stack the stats from different items, she'll get some of the evasion bonus from Katone's as well. Now, I know her hit points are already low. I was debating on which unit I should put that Snow White card on, but I decided to put it on Frederica because she's basically the weakest, and the 15% of those two resistances is probably going to outweigh the hit point debuff that she's getting. So you saw in some videos that she was able to survive one attack, and I believe it's largely in part to having that 15% missile resistance there. Now, she has Odin on there for Man Killer, so as you saw, she did pretty decent damage. So I think it's a pretty good way to build out Frederica. Now, ultimately, I would have wanted to put on Frederica's Dream to boost her damage, but the way that the AI works now, where it wants to move the gunners in close, or wants to have a buff party where they group up and get one shot by Lancers, I'm preferring the defensive stats. And you saw that also in my other anti-slash video. I think going defensively, at least this point in the game, it is better in most situations. Now Lucia, I have a +5 assault on her, almost perfect, 1 point away, a perfect smart coat for anti-magic. Now I think shield would have been better in this type of situation on this map because there's not many magic users, and they would just get eaten alive, even more so than the physical units. But that's really all I have, since Frederica has the hat, and it's a 5-star hat. It's a perfect version, but it's just not +5. It's just a +0. And then I gave her the bells so she can hopefully pop that the first turn, and then go crazy. But as you saw in the matches, she maybe popped it once or twice in all of those matches. So that's another big AI thing. One thing I also want to mention about trusts is even on JP, there's no way to turn on or off the trust ability. You have limit breaks, and you have other abilities, and you can even edit your friend abilities when you borrow your friend, but you cannot do the trust yet. And the problem with that is Frederica's trust. It has good hit points, some good stats, and it has a really good ability that removes bad status effects if it's used correctly. But the way that the AI works, it's so simple that it's stupid. It looks for the lowest TP cost skill to use, and that's usually Frederica's ribbon. So they'll waste that, and instead of buffing attack or range or something that's going to be better, especially in these short fights where TP usage doesn't matter, it's going to use that instead of a good buff, and it wastes it. Now, if it used it only when you had a bad status effect, that would be perfect, but it's a waste. And here the bells on her, even though you have to have your faith 50 or above in order for them to activate, and I do have that. I believe her faith is at 70, so it should go off every time. The problem is the AI just doesn't like to use it at all. Alright, so my Engelbert here, I've got him with Golem and the tank card. Orlando was equipped the same way in the matches that I used him on. And then he has the golden armor for slash. And now I've been using Ayaka's boots on him recently over other trusts. You've got the crit evasion and I believe 10 spirit on that. So that's going to help augment his weaknesses against magic. It also has agility. That was the main reason that I put it on initially. Orlando pretty much the same. I think he might have had another weaker version of the smart coat on. But they were basically there just to soak up hits while the gunners would supposedly take out the other team. But the main takeaway from this is the poor AI. So regardless of how strong you make your team, you have to keep in mind, are the units going to be buffing each other or not? Like, are they going to have a buff party in the back? Are they going to group up and then be eligible to get one shot? Or are they a melee unit buffing in the back and not even trying to go across an attack? That's a huge issue. Then you have the gunners who are supposed to stay at range sitting back, moving up into range of the enemy, sometimes only one square away, and many a time my Frederica or Lucia would just get one shot by the units coming up the ramp, which is absolutely ridiculous. So the poor way that the AI works, especially what I explained with like Ziza and Yerma, where they let the charge in on their own, it devalues the unit. And not only does that hurt the player, like if you pull and you finally get a unit and you raise it up and it ends up being bad, you're going to be less likely to continue playing the game. You're going to be kind of like really upset about that. And it's going to hurt Gumi too, because once people find these things out, they're going to be less likely to pull on these units, and that means less money for them in the end. So, Gumi, if you're watching, please improve the AI for all the units equally and try to get rid of some of these problems. And it'll work out in the end for both the players and Gumi alike. So I could talk a little bit longer, but I'm going to cut it off here. So I thank you again for watching. I hope you got something out of it. And I'll see you next time on another episode of FFBE War of the Visions. Take care.